There we go. All right, so we'll just miss the first part of that, but the rest of the webinar is the better part anyway. So hopefully that's all right. So we also assist businesses with getting their registrations and their certifications in place. So we just wanted to provide this as a visual to explain the differences between the two, because a lot of times we have businesses coming to us who it's actually very confusing. And so we like to provide as much clarity around these two things as possible, because we are helping business with federal, state, and local opportunities. The registrations and certifications are many, but on the federal level, you've got registrations that fall within like the CMMC requirements, cybersecurity maturity model, DIBS, which is registering with DLA's Internet Bid Board site, GSA, ITAR, System for Awards Management, that's the primary one. SBA Dynamic, Wide Area Workflow, and it's a big long list. But those are all of the registrations that we always recommend when it makes sense to businesses who are doing business on a federal level. On the state level, it's going to be contract reporter and the contract system. And then local level, there's local vendor registrations with municipalities and what have you. So we make sure that when we're meeting with businesses, we help them with those types of registrations, and then also we help them apply for their certifications. If they qualify for certain socioeconomic categories where there are programs in place for those, then we can help a business go after getting their certification as well. Again, federal, state, and local, they're all different from one another. And so these are the types of things that we specialize in and would love to help any business out there with that's in the Monroe County Finger Lakes territory. All right, let's see here. Okay, so here's the map that breaks it down for you and shows you what you're looking at for PTAC coverage in the state of New York. This map, as I mentioned, there's been some changes, so this is going to be changing as well. But for the most part, it's pretty accurate. You'll see that the Monroe County Finger Lakes PTAC is the purple territory, and we are going to be adding on to that territory Cayuga and Onondaga. So any businesses that fall in those counties will have the option of working with us as well. I think one very important thing I have not mentioned yet is that we provide our assistance completely free of charge and confidential to businesses. So that's the other bonus. You can work with your local PTAC to advance in the government marketplace. And we have a bid match service and our one-on-one counseling and all kinds of different opportunities out that we provide for you at no charge. On the national level, we are a broad network of PTACs. So we have a PTAC in every territory, and we also work very closely with the American Indian PTACs, and we have one close by in Syracuse as well. So we work very hard to stay well connected with all of the PTACs across the country. We do that through being members of the association. And what that does for us and for you as our clients is it keeps communication flowing. It keeps all of us up on the latest changes that are going on in the government space, but also it kind of opens the door to opportunities, because we have fellow PTACs in different regions of the country who are often sharing with us opportunities that maybe they're primes that they assist, or they have businesses that are looking for partners in certain areas. And so they share those with us, and we extend those offerings to our client base as well. Okay, and this page is sharing with you what the Monroe County Finger Lakes PTAC team currently consists of. We've got Anna Boulay-Fitzsimmons, who is our program director, and she's been with the program the longest, and I'm not sure exactly how long, but I've worked with Anna for a very long time in different PTAC roles for different regions, and she's been here forever, so she's wonderful. And we have Mercy Morrison, who's been with the PTAC, I believe, going on 2 years. Mercy, forgive me if I'm off on that, but Mercy is a procurement counselor as well. She works full-time for the program, and I'm sure many of you have had the opportunity of working with her. So, and then there's myself. I'm also a procurement counselor, and all three of us are certified VA verification counselors. So we help veterans through the VA verification certification as well. We like to include that in our titles, and that's another program that's changing soon. So if that's on your radar and you want to learn more, reach out to us, please. So our contact information is here. Please take that down or screenshot it if you're interested in connecting. And then we also have a link at the bottom. This one's not a QR code, but that's our link where you can actually go to the website and request a meeting with us to make it easier for you. Okay. All right, and so the reason that we're doing this webinar today, there's a couple of reasons, and this is one of them. Today is the 5th annual National PTAC Day. It's a day where PTACs in all 50 states, plus Guam, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands all come together to celebrate the contracting successes of the small businesses who have benefited from the training that we provide and the technical assistance that's offered from their local PTACs. So this is a special day for us. We chose today to provide this training because it is PTAC Day. We wanted to draw attention to that. And it's celebrated through social media campaigns, PR initiatives, online and in-person events like we're doing here today, and different things like that. So thank you for joining us on National PTAC Day. And we welcome you to get in on the fun. If you're interested, by sharing any success stories that you may have from experience working with your PTAC, and you can share those with us if you're interested via email or on our LinkedIn page. So happy PTAC Day, everyone. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and jump right into the nuts and bolts of what we're here to talk about today: business to government networking and how to be prepared. So I thought it would be good, as I mentioned, going into preparing this webinar for you all, I was going back and forth between, well, most professionals have experience with this, but then again, I was reminded that's not always the case. So forgive me if you already are very well versed. Hopefully there's something that I'm sharing with you that you can take away, but this is really designed for those who may be new to this space and may not have a lot of experience attending business to government networking events. So B2G, you're going to see that a lot. B2G or G2B, and that's business to government or government to business. In a lot of cases, these types of events do entail a matchmaking session. And oh, great, thank you. And so I'll touch on what the matchmaking piece is, but I wanted to structure it in this way because you're going to find that there are business to government networking events that do not necessarily include a structured matchmaking session. So matchmaking is sort of like, the best way I can describe it is speed dating for businesses. It's where the event organizers get prime contractors and government agencies to come together who have an interest in doing business with small businesses, and they give each of them a table, and they open the doors to the small businesses and allow them to have a certain amount of time with to meet directly with the government agencies and prime contractors who are there at the matchmaker. It's usually around 5 to 10, sometimes 15 minutes. I've seen matchmakers be most successful at 10-minute meetings, but basically every 10 minutes, then you get up and you shuffle and you move to the next table and you have another meeting with the next person. And those events are, I think they're a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoy attending them. But you'll see that those are very common for business to government type networking events. I'll be touching on, why those are great, and then also why sometimes it's okay to not have a matchmaker involved, and you can still get a lot of connections and opportunities out of events that don't have a matchmaker. So it's networking between business and government. I've mentioned that, and it's an opportunity for you to really get in front of buyers and pitch your capabilities to them. Share with them what it is that you do, what you're great at, the different kinds of problems that you can solve for agencies and prime contractors. And because it's great because you don't always have an opportunity to do that when you are either working from home or you're stuck in the office. And it's just, there's no better way, in my opinion, than getting in front of someone, having the opportunity to shake their hand and make a personal connection. So it does open doors to new opportunities. That's why you see so many of them happening all the time, because they're just very efficient, and you can really walk away from a business to government type event if you plan properly for it. And if a lot of people have been in this business for a long time and they have existing relationships, they're not just going to these things to start new ones, they're actually going to strengthen their existing relationships that they have. Because not only do they get to meet with them at the event, sometimes there's opportunities to network outside of the event, go to dinner, take your clients out, wine and dine them. Of course, you have to be careful with how much you do that and what exactly that entails with government contracting, but there's a lot of opportunity there to strengthen existing relationships. All right, so preparation is key. We all know this, right? In every instance of doing business, preparation really is the key to accomplishing anything in life, and most definitely in business. And opportunity is what all of us want in some form or another. So as business owners, we really want the opportunity to impact more people, serve more people, and sell to more people. So for most government contractors, the success of attending an event like this really lies in how many people you can reach and have, leave behind your information with. And when it comes to the opportunity game, there's nothing like that will equip you with more preparation. So you want to make sure that you are fully prepared and you take every opportunity you can when you attend these kinds of events. So it's essential to creating and keeping a competitive advantage, especially when going into this. You want to make sure that, let's say maybe your competitor is also going to be there. Well, how are you going to get a leg up on your competitor if you're not prepared, you haven't reviewed the event materials, you don't know exactly who's going to be there, and so on. So you definitely want to keep your competitive advantage, but also be prepared because you want to save time and money. Some B2G style events have expensive registration fees and travel fees associated with them. So you definitely don't want to find yourself spending thousands of dollars to attend something and then not be prepared to make great connections and walk away with some real opportunity. So you want to be organized. You want to have a dedicated notebook. These are things, I have a checklist in a couple of slides that includes a notebook. You want to have a dedicated notebook where you're taking notes, you're doing homework, you've got names written down, and you're getting organized with that notebook. Bring that with you to the event. Put pencil to paper, prepare your materials. These are all things we're going to be talking about in greater detail. And you want to give yourself some time and some quiet. I know everyone's very busy, but it's always helpful to sit and reflect on what it is that you want to get out of something before you go into it. That's how I feel anyway. And I've found from experience that that's really what's helpful. My quiet time, just I have a recent example where I attended a business to government conference in San Diego. I was at Navy Gold Coast recently, and my quiet time ended up being on the airplane, but it really was actually great because I'm not sure I would have been able to take that time otherwise. So it allowed me to get my head right, to think about what kinds of things I had going on that I wanted to make sure that I maximized when I was there, certain individuals that I knew were going to be there that I wrote down so that as I'm walking the show floor, I've got that good reminder. So those are the types of things that I'm talking about when I say do your homework. It's just take an hour or two to really examine what kinds of opportunity you see in going into a business to government event. And then, of course, practice your pitch. So whatever it is that you do for a living, you want to be able to talk about what it is. You want to be able to portray to your viewer, your audience, in a short, 50 to 60 seconds and really get across the work that you do in a succinct way. So practice your pitch, and practice makes progress. So these are the things we'll be talking about. That's actually the only spot where you'll see me talk about the pitch, but that is an important piece. Okay, so going back to doing your homework, you want to do your market research. This is something that I'm going to spend more time on if we have it, where I actually use a real life example to show you what I'm talking about here, where you follow these steps. You go to the event page for a list of the attendees. Most government to business matchmakers and networking events in general will provide you with a list of who is going to be there. The folks that have confirmed that they will be attending from large government agencies and prime contractors. We have a lot of defense contractors that attend our events, and so it's common practice for us to share with the attendees that they will be there, just to help them do exactly what we're talking about, be prepared. So we want to go to the event page to get familiar with what the event's all about, who's going to be there, what to expect. You'll then want to go to the agency or prime. You'll want to go to their Doing Business with Us page on their website. The reason for this is that every government agency and prime contractor does business differently from one another. They have different requirements. They sometimes have their own supplier portals that they require you to get registered in. And so you want to become familiar. If there's an agency or a prime that stands out to you that's going to be attending an event you're going to be at, you want to be familiar with what their requirements are. You also want to be able to try to determine their buying practices. And this is really where that market research piece is going to come into play. And we could do a whole nother webinar on market research, and we probably should. But I've provided you a list here of the different market research websites that exist. These are some of the main ones, and there's a couple for New York State as well. But doing this market research is going to take a deep dive into historical information that will show you what the buying practices are for these government agencies that you are about to meet with. It'll give you insight that's very valuable, because let's say there's an agency who prefers to post their opportunities on a certain website. Then that's a website you want to have access to. You also want to make sure that you're understanding if there's a contract vehicle involved that the agency is using to procure a certain good or service. And if that's the case, then maybe the contract vehicle is something you should go after. Maybe it's not something that you're prepared for yet. And so you would need to seek a partnership of some kind to do that. So these are the kinds of insights that would be super helpful to you to understand going into a networking event. And then I've got LinkedIn listed. I cannot stress enough how helpful LinkedIn has become in government contracting efforts and business development in general. So if you're able to find an individual, if let's say the event page actually goes as far as to list the names of the individuals who will be attending from the primes and agencies, you can try to connect with those folks on LinkedIn as well in advance of the event to say, hey, I see your name posted on this event. I will be in attendance. I have a meeting scheduled with you for a matchmaking session, and I would love to connect with you here on LinkedIn. And see if you can actually get connected with them. Sometimes it works. Sometimes you have to wait until after you actually meet them, and then they'll go back and say, oh, I did meet this person, and they'll accept it. But LinkedIn is a very powerful tool as well. Okay, let me just move forward here. Okay, so this is an event that we have coming up. I'm not sure how many of you would have seen this. We have our business to government event coming up in Rochester on October 3rd. It is the second annual Defense Forum and Expo, where Congressman Morelli will be there, the county executive will be there. We'll have Office of Small Business Program Director Farouk Mita will be there. He's with the Department of Defense. And we actually are planning to have a good variety of government agencies and prime contractors in attendance at that event. So if you are in the local area, or even if you're not, we welcome all small businesses, all businesses actually, doesn't matter what size you are, to attend this event. It's taking place at the Rochester Airport. October 3rd, it will run from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. This is actually an example of an event that has included a matchmaker in the past, but this year we decided to do no matchmaker appointments, and we're taking a different approach to this event. So it's going to be no appointments, and we're hoping that what this is doing is allowing for small businesses to meet with more buyers. We're going to have the room set up where every agency and prime does still have their own table. So it's going to be more of a networking expo. So you'll be able to go around and introduce yourselves to the folks who are there exhibiting, and have conversations with them. Leave your materials behind if they're willing to take them, and that kind of thing. So that's the structure of this business to government event, and we hope you can make it. There is a QR code there if you are interested in going to the event page and registering. So please go ahead and do that. And I'm going to actually use this opportunity to give you an example. So example of doing homework, like I was just sharing. I want to show you what I mean by that. So bear with me here while I try to switch my screen over. Okay, so I used the QR code before and pulled up the event page, and this is it. So when you're here, it's going to give you all the details about what the event's all about. It's going to share who the partners are. These are the different organizations that the PTAC as the host, as the event organizer, is partnering with to deliver this opportunity. And then if you are a small business, click here, and that's where you go to get registered. We have our sponsors listed, and then we actually have an agenda with a list of agencies and primes. And I imagine this is probably pretty small, so let me make it a little bit bigger for you all. There we go. Okay, So agencies and primes, and we just keep adding to this list as we have new confirmations coming in. But as you can see, we've got quite a few folks coming from the federal government, from the DoD, since this is a Department of Defense focused event. And you're going to be, if you attend, you'll be able to meet with folks from the Air Force, the Army, Department of Navy, and locally, even with Fort Drum and Air Force Research Labs, the 914th Air Wing, and the list goes on. Some big defense contractors. We've got L3 Harris, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman. So we can take a look at this list, and for a business, let's say, as an example, let's say that you are in the furniture business, and you're looking at this list, you think this is a great opportunity to attend and make some new connections, possibly sell some furniture to some of these organizations, and you're interested in, you want to do your homework and you want to know how, let's say, how is Fort Drum MIC currently buying furniture? So let's see. I've tried to do a little bit of prep here, so I don't have to click around too much. So Fort Drum MIC stands for the Mission Installation Contracting Command. But if you didn't know that, you could just type in Google Fort Drum MIC and find the actual Army website that explains who the MIC is, what they're all about. It tells you here that the Mission and Installation Contracting Command, they do the buying for the installations across the country, the Army installations in particular. And so there's a lot you can learn from this. And one of the things that I thought was pretty interesting, where'd it go? So because we're specifically bringing people in from Fort Drum, which is a local installation, we want to know who the points of contact are there that might be attending. We are not giving you names here. Some do, some don't. In this case, we're not doing that. But there are a variety of ways in which you can go about finding the information, and I'm not finding what I'm looking for, so apologies. I'm going to type in Fort Drum. So sometimes you got to get a little creative with your searching and your research. So we're going to click this and see what comes up. Nothing that's going to give us a name, but that's okay. So I would say in this case, click around and see what you can find. We are actually going to be welcoming their new commander of the MIC. And so I was looking for her name, but so you wouldn't know that as a business that's not involved in the planning of the event, but the more research that you do, the more you're going to find about that organization, and you would find that Fort Drum MIC just got a new commander, and maybe she will be there. So that's one way that you can dig up some information. And then the other way is to go to SAM.gov. SAM, for those of you who may not be familiar, SAM is the System for Awards Management. It's where the federal government posts opportunities of $25,000 or more. It's also where you go to get registered to do business with the federal government. And so I'm logged in. You know, we could do a whole separate webinar on how to navigate SAM.gov, but this site really has become an integrated award environment, an IAE, just to add insult to injury with all of the acronyms. But that is what the government's trying to do on the federal level, is to consolidate a lot of the different portals that have existed over the years into one place. SAM has taken over posting the contract opportunities for what used to be called FBO, Fed Biz Ops. So if that sounds familiar, it's now in SAM. So you would go to sam.gov, and maybe you're interested in finding out specifically what kinds of opportunities are open and current right now. because you're going into this event in October, you want to understand what kinds of opportunities exist so that maybe you can have a conversation with someone at Fort Drum Mick about something very specific that could really be a great opportunity for you. So this is just an example. I've already done the searching. What I've done is scrolled down and I've typed in Fort Drum furniture. Okay, there are many other ways that this information can be filtered and searched, but I'm purposefully keeping it pretty general here. And I made sure that the status that I was searching by was active. And so right at the top, we've got an opportunity, it looks like, let's see, with the Department of the Army, Fort Drum is the office, and if I click on this, it tells you that it's for a filing cabinet, delivery and setup of a filing cabinet. And this is something that they just updated it. It tells you that here. Original published date was yesterday, and and opportunities are due on the 22nd. So this is a quick turnaround. It gives you all the codes, it gives you the description of the requirement. And so as a government contractor, you would read through all of these documents and get familiar with this to determine whether or not this was something that you were interested in pursuing. Let's say in this example that this really is right up your alley. This is something that you are interested in submitting a bid for. And let's also say that the submission date is a little bit further out. So you've got some time, and let's say it's after October 3rd, then this would be a really great example of an opportunity that you could really take with you in with a specific thing that you want to discuss with the representative that's attending from Fort Drum Mick. But that's one of many, right? So you can look in sam.gov, you can look in fpds.gov, and I'm using FPDS. This is kind of the older system for market research, but this system is the Federal Procurement Data Site. And you're going to find historic information on contracts that have been awarded in the past, all the way back to 1980s. And I typed in here Fort Drum furniture. So let me just recap this really quick. sam.gov, you're looking at current and open opportunities, right? So this is something that you could actually potentially be awarded if you submitted a bid and were successful. FPDS is one of the market research sites that's going to pull historic information. These are all contracts that have already been awarded. So what we're looking at is something that was awarded in April of this year to a company named American Bedding Manufacturing by the Department of the Army. And all I searched for was Fort Drum furniture. And it's a $62,000 contract. So there's ways to dig deeper into this information, but this would be something that would be really great to understand as well. You can click the view button, and it logged me out because I logged in so long ago. Let me date sign, I'm sorting the info. Yeah, it doesn't want to give it to me. So if you're ever interested in learning more about how to conduct these searches, this is something that PTAC can do for you, but we really recommend, if you are at the point where you're looking into starting to attend these business to government events, these are the activities that you want to spend time on beforehand, because it's going to equip you with the details that you need to be successful and have beneficial conversations with the individuals who are there. So that's FPDS. And then one other quick example, because I basically was using Fort Drum as the primary example, but I kind of want to switch gears for you really quick and just talk about Lockheed Martin, since they were on the list as a defense contractor who's going to be in attendance at the October 3rd event. So I typed in doing business with Lockheed Martin. If you are brand new and you're not familiar with how these organizations conduct business with small businesses, then you definitely want to do this and find out what they have in place for requirements for small businesses in order to be able to sell their goods and services to Lockheed Martin. And so this is their website, and it breaks it down for you on how to become a supplier with them. So you would want to spend time learning more about what their requirements are, and how to get into their portal if it's something that you qualify for. Maybe they have insurance requirements that you don't currently meet, but they're telling you that there. So that's something that you could strive for over time. Or if any questions come up, maybe at the event, you have an opportunity to ask those questions in real time. So hopefully you can see the different ways that conducting your homework in advance can be very beneficial for you. But those are just a few examples that I had for you. Okay. Sorry, my clicker is acting funny. Okay, so now we're going to get into what to bring. And the biggest, most important thing that we can't stress enough as a PTAC to our clients and small businesses that we serve is to have a capability statement. So capability statement, basically it's a one-page document. It's a marketing tool that exists in the government market space that is very well-known. Government agencies and primes are familiar with them. They actually a lot of times require them. If you're going to do business with them, they require that you provide a capability statement at the start. In this case, we are recommending that you have a door opener type of a capability statement. And I say that because in a lot of different situations and scenarios, you can actually be required to have different types of capability statements. And it makes sense to do so. But when you're going into an event like this, where you're going to be networking with a variety of different types of individuals from different organizations, you're probably better off just having a door opener version of a capability statement, which is typically just more general. It gives an overview of who you are as a company and the different things that you do and have done. So I'll get into the details of what is included in a capability statement, but these are beneficial. This version is really beneficial for you to bring along with you when you have an opportunity to meet with federal agencies, prime contractors, teaming partners. But also you're going to find that at these types of events, there's going to be more than just those folks there. There's going to be small business representatives who are more commonly referred to as OSDBUs, Office of Small Business Utilization. We have small business liaison officers who frequent these networking events. And they love to see a capability statement. And we also have contracting and acquisition staff who attend. So you can see what kinds of opportunities, there's a broad span of opportunity by attending and bringing a capability statement to hand to these folks as you meet them. In addition, you will find that there's program and technical managers who attend as well. So that gets into like the players and the layers that you need to understand and know about all the different roles that exist in government contracting. And so you can tailor your conversations that you're having with these different types of individuals. Once you understand what their title is, then you know what their roles are at the organizations, and you can get pretty crafty with the conversations that you're having with them. But we definitely want to make sure that you have a capability statement, that you actually have hard copy. So if you're attending an event in person, I know a lot of us were doing virtual events because of the pandemic. And so now we're really starting to see things open back up, and think all of these events that have taken place in the past that did switch to virtual are coming back, and we're doing live again. The October 3rd event, the Defense Forum, that actually we halted that completely and did not do it. So this will be the first time that we're doing that event since before COVID. So it's pretty exciting time, and we do recommend that if you are attending in person, that you do have your capability statements printed out, have them on the ready, have them in a folder, so that as you walk about the show or the event, that you can hand those out to people when it makes sense to do so. And one of the things, and maybe I'll touch on this in another slide, but one of the things that I like to do that I've found that is helpful is to ask them if they want one. They want to see that you have one, but not everybody wants to have to take it back with them. And as you can imagine, they'll end up with hundreds of them. So it's just very overwhelming for some people, and they actually tell you, no, just email it to me, and they give you their business card instead. So that's okay too. I think that's a great opportunity to continue the conversation down the road. So let's talk about what is typically included in a door opener version of a capability statement. These are used to refresh existing relationships, but also the relationship building process with new prospects at events. So you can utilize this document to obtain decision maker meetings. It's also a great tool to use during meetings. So let's say you are successful at this event and you're able to lock in a meeting with a buyer. Bring your capability statement with you to that meeting and share that with them, even if you already have. Because the more that they see it, the more familiar they'll become. Maybe they'll even give you feedback so you can make it better. So we use this door opener version of a capability statement to do a variety of things, but it's really to open doors to opportunities. So that's kind of the mindset that we want you to have when you're creating it. And also to introduce new products or services. So if you have, let's say you come out with a new prototype, or you have something new that you've decided to do and you've changed your business model, you can use a document like a capability statement to portray that to your audience. Typically, a capability statement is made up of 5 key elements. You're going to see that it says capability statement at the top. We like to have you call it a capability statement, call it what it is. There's core competencies, talking about what you are capable of doing. Your past performance, what have you done in the past? What kinds of contracts have you been awarded in the past? What is your corporate experience, if you have any? You know, these are the things that you include in past performance. We'll dive deeper into these, but also your differentiators and your company data. Okay, so this is really just like to give you a glimpse of what the top of your capability statement should entail. You want to make sure that, like I said, you call it what it is, that your branding is on point, you've got your contact information, and essentially at the top of the page, it should really emulate a mini business card across the top of the document. You want to name it. It needs to be in PDF form, not a JPEG, not a TIF. It needs to be a PDF. And we have a recommendation here on this slide for the naming convention. And then we really have found that just 1 page is best, not 2. If you have to expand it because you have too much content to fit it all on 1 page, then double-sided is okay, but just 1 page is ideal for a capability statement. And make sure that the file is not too large, so that for obvious reasons, for sharing purposes, you can share it without any issues. So I've provided a list of what you want to keep in mind when you're creating your core competencies section. And you want to make sure that when you're creating this, that it's tailored to the target market that you're going to be interfacing with. You can include a short introductory statement talking about how your goods or services align with the target market, or if this is specific for an agency, how they align with that agency or organization. You want to share your expertise. What is it that you bring to the table? And you want to do this in a keyword heavy bulleted format. One of the things that you definitely want to avoid with this kind of a document, because you only have so much space, is to use keywords and bullets and columns, and try to avoid being too wordy. Okay, so past performance. This is a big one for government contractors, and we have all kinds of resources to help you create this beyond with what I'm just sharing here today. But you want to make sure that the past performance that you're sharing on your document is actually going to show the benefit to the agency. When they look at this, what is your past performance painting a picture of? And if you don't have past performance yet because you're brand new, that's okay. We can get creative with the different types of things that you provide. Let's say you have corporate experience that you bring to the table. We can talk about that and include it here. Past performance is one of those things that's kind of tricky for what the purposes of what we're talking about here today, though. It is important to have past performance, but not list too many things either. So it's not a resume. My recommendation would be to make sure that you have just like the 3 to 5 most recent examples of past performance that you have been involved in. Okay, then we're talking about differentiators. This is what sets your business apart from your competition. What makes you stand out? What are those unique features and benefits that you bring to the table? Your differentiators are pretty important. One thing I will say is that differentiators are not your socioeconomic certifications. Those should not be listed in this section. You don't want to include generic statements. You want to be as specific as possible. A differentiator should not be a one type fits all kind of thing. You don't want to say, oh, we have quality people, services, products. You want to be more specific than that. You want to use metrics as much as possible. So, things like best in class, world class, best of breed, other superlatives like that are not what we're looking for in differentiators. Instead, ideal differentiators actually speak exactly to the requirements. They speak to the decision maker, to the buyer that you're going to be sharing this document with, the contracting officer, the OSDBU, the SBLO. And they're very benefit focused. So like I said, include metrics as much as you can, and try to be as straightforward as possible with your differentiators. I know we're coming up on time here, so I'm going to try to scan through these as much as possible. Your company data, we want to talk about all of the codes, your NAICS codes, your UEI, which has taken place of the DUNS number. If you're not familiar with that, reach out to your PTAC. They'll fill you in. But you want to make sure that you're including all of your codes, your NAICS codes, your product service codes, and all of the pertinent company data that makes sense for you to include. Okay, so are you ready? And this is just a checklist, a blurry checklist of the different types of things that we want to make sure that you're taking with you to an event like a business to government networking event. So you want your notebook, you want your capability statement, you want the homework that you took, spent the time to do, making a list of who you're targeting when you attend, and your business cards, of course. So once you have all of those things, you are ready to go. You're ready to attend your business to government networking event and to be successful at it. So we really encourage you to go into these events with your head held high, confident, knowing exactly who you want to meet with and the things you want to accomplish while you're there. Okay, and this is the last little bit, but you want to make sure that the post-event follow-up is done within a week of attending your conference. This is huge because you don't want to just go to an event, make a ton of great connections, leave there on cloud 9 feeling like you knocked it out of the park, and not follow up, because that would just eliminate all of the progress that you just made. So these are our recommendations for post-conference follow-up. We want you to take some time to get organized. I know from experience myself, it's difficult to keep track of all of those business cards that you have. I find them in different places, my purse, my notes. So you want to take some time to get organized and debrief, take notes down while things are fresh in your mind. Ideally, you do that at the conference if there's a place to sit down. If not, do it at your hotel room that night, or do it on the plane ride back, or do it when you get to your office. But definitely take the time to do that. Usually around an hour is enough sufficient time to take those notes down. Then prioritize your connections. You want to make sure that you're putting them in categories so that you're reaching out to the folks that you see the most potential with first. And you want to reach out to them via email. Old-fashioned email is still the way to go. Remind them of the conversation that you had and request a follow-up call. And then you want to also attempt to make this more of like a two-pronged approach, or maybe even a three-pronged approach to include a phone call a couple weeks later if you don't hear back, or even if you do. But you want to continue past just emailing and also connect with them on LinkedIn if you haven't already from your pre-event efforts. So again, we're seeing LinkedIn. This is pretty important. It's a powerful tool to make connections. Many government employees, whether they're working for a prime or an agency, do have LinkedIn. So I recommend that you utilize that. I apologize, guys, we're over, but I do want to give you a recap. Networking between business and government, that's what B2G is. That's what we're here to talk about today. You want to take time to prepare. You want to be flexible, stay positive, and follow up. So let's just see. Okay, and to give you some additional opportunities, I wanted to share with you some other PTAC events that we have coming up. Next week on the 27th, Mercy Morrison, who also works for Monroe County Finger Lakes PTAC, is going to be doing a webinar on how to register in SAM.gov. That's the site that I briefly touched on, the System for Awards Management. And she's going to be going into detail on how to get registered there. That's going to get you registered to have a cage code and to be able to do business with the federal government. So that actually is happening live in Rochester. So that's for folks who are local. And then on the 3rd of October is the Defense Forum. This, I've mentioned it many times because we really hope that you can be there. It's going to be a fantastic event full of opportunity. And on the 6th of October and 7th, that same week, is going to be the New York State MWBE Forum. And that's the Minority Women Business Enterprise Forum that they put on every year. And that's actually going to be both virtual and in person. It's a hybrid event. So we mentioned it here because it's also another opportunity if you're interested. And then we're giving you a save the date for a matchmaker that's taking place on December 6th and 7th. So what that's all about is it's actually going to be a virtual matchmaker, and it's the PTACs of New York State, Ohio, and Pennsylvania coming together to bring you a matchmaking opportunity to connect with buyers from agencies and primes across that entire tri-state territory. So this QR code is going to take you to our event page where you can find more information about all of these events. So we encourage you to go there and learn more, get registered. And then again, with the October 3rd Defense Forum, please consider attending. We would love to see you there. We will be there in person, and it would be great to meet you in person. That's what these events are all about. Okay, so with that, I will take questions if there are any. And you definitely have the option of asking your question live because we are using GoToMeeting. But I think I'll start with the questions that came through in the chat. So if you have any questions you haven't asked yet, please put them in the chat. All right, and Madhu. So Madhu is asking, how do you find who won a contract based on solicitation number? That's a great question. You can utilize FPDS to do that in most cases, not all. It depends on the details of the solicitation, but that's something that we could look into for you. Hopefully that answered your question. And Frank is asking, how can we find and receive notifications for all local B2G events? That's a great question. Thank you for asking that, Frank, because if you have not already subscribed to become a client of Monroe County Finger Lakes PTAC, please do so. And then also subscribe to our newsletter. That's a second separate step. This QR code on the bottom right-hand side of the page is going to take you directly to the form to sign up. And our newsletter is what we use to keep our clients informed on upcoming events and different networking opportunities that exist. Depending on what you're looking for, if you're interested in things beyond just the local area, we really try hard to make sure that we're including those things on our event page. So you would still see those there. But if you go to the Monroe County Finger Lakes event calendar, you will see what's coming up. And we'll keep you informed. So through our newsletter, if you subscribe to it. And that goes out on a monthly basis at the beginning of every month. Okay. And Douglas is asking, can we get a copy of today's slides? Yes, you absolutely can do that. And I will be providing those to you along with the recording, which I did start a little late. Sorry about that. But you'll be getting the recording and the slides by end of week from us. So no worries there. We'll get that out to everyone who attended today. Okay, any other questions? Great. So it looks like we ran a little bit over. Apologies on that, but I do want to just thank you all again so much for attending today. It was great to have you here with me, and I hope that at your next business to government networking event, you can keep these things in mind and walk away from that event feeling like you just are making all kinds of new connections and opening doors to new opportunities, because that's what this is really all about. So with that, I will say goodbye to you all, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. And thanks again for joining us on National PTAC Day. Take care, everybody.